Hello my friend and welcome back. My name is Hana and today I'm going to be giving you my predictions for trends in 2023. So if you're curious about what I'm wearing on my face and what I mentioned in today's video and what I'm doing in other pockets of the internet, I always have links in the description box down below, so don't forget to check them out. I am a small-time creator. None of my links are sponsored or affiliated. If they were, believe me, you would be the first to know. But just in case you were curious about my makeup look, I did film a video that should go live before this one, but if you haven't seen it, I'm kind of doing a get ready with me with trends that I personally saw popping off in 2022. So this is kind of like the part 2 to that. But also in today's video, I did make a makeup prediction for 2022. So in this video, not only will I be giving my predictions for 2023, but I will also see if my predictions for 2022 were correct. So the first trend I want to talk about is actually dupes. And I don't think dupes are bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with dupes. You can look at it one of two ways. You can be someone who's very loyal to a brand. So you might love a particular brand's complexion products, so it's very hard for you to be like, oh, I know that this product is really trending right now, but that might be out of my price range. That might be not a brand that I've never had a good history with, so I will wait for my brand to kind of release that thing. Or, like I just said, maybe money is an issue for you and you don't believe in spending, you know, $40 for a bronzer, let's say. Maybe you're just like, no, I'm okay with spending like 15, 20 bucks on a bronzer and that's where I'm comfortable with. And I think that this duping thing, this duping trend is going to carry us all the way through 2023. But I also don't think it's going to be like drugstore mimicking the high end. I think we're just going to see it at every level. And I think that's just because whatever is trending, I think companies are just going to take off. And with what had been trending on TikTok for the past year has been anywhere from drugstore to high end. And as I'm filming this, like Tarte has just released their version of the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand. They're holding on to the Shape Tape name, and it's like the Shape Tape contour. The packaging is like Tarte original. It's the component that is also very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury one, but I believe there's also more shades available. And we're seeing, I know we see it a lot with Makeup Revolution. They came out with their highlighting wands that I think were supposed to be the answer, or like the more affordable version of the Charlotte Tilbury wands. I don't agree with that. Every time I've seen someone kind of compare them, I do think that they look a little bit different. And I've had friends personally tell me that they hate the component that it's in, and then they end up just buying the Charlotte Tilbury one anyway. So I'm hoping that there is a brand that comes out with the answer to the Charlotte Tilbury highlighting wand, and that it can be more available to multiple shades. I think the highlighter has more shades than the bronzer does, but I don't think by much. Another trend that I think we're going to see a lot of is actually going to be a lip trend. So in 2022, we saw a lot of plumping lip glosses. And when I say plumping lip gloss, I mean like this Fenty one in my hand, like a plumping lip gloss like this. It was this kind of component. And in 2022, Tarte released a product that, and Makeup by Mario, that looked like, where are they? I don't have one in front of me, but this is an eyeshadow primer. But they were those like lip balms. Colourpop has them too, like those blotted lips where they were like a stick. The Makeup by Mario and the Tarte one, you couldn't wind it down. And I think we're going to see more products like that actually versus the plumping lip gloss. But I think they're still going to have the plumping lip property. So with Tarte, they released the original one that trended, like didn't have lip plumping properties, or they don't call it a lip plumping gloss. But when people would use them, and this is why it like trended and it was so nice, it made your lips look a lot fuller, almost as if, you know, like you did get lip filler, and it looked really pretty, and it was very moisturizing to the lip. And then later on they did release the lip plumping version of that. And I know that these two particular products were really popular because a lot of people in my work setting use these two products, and they ask me like, have you used these? Because I swear by these, and I work in a school district with a lot of like older women, and they're not really on like the TikTok, Instagram, YouTube kind of internet beauty community in the way that I am. I think they just kind of, you know, scroll through their Instagram and just see things on their For You page, which is totally fine. But for a product to reach even that level of beauty consumer, that tells me that a product was really, really popular. And I think we're just going to see more of that. I think lip oils and liquid balms are also going to be on trend, because I've also been seeing those come out in different shades. It's not just clear or like a nudie shade. Like we're seeing a lot of like punchy colors. Like this particular gloss was in like a lavender shade, but I've seen a lot of like bright oranges and things. And I think that's just like the answer to those who don't like the matte lipstick or even the satin lipstick, or even just like a lipstick in general. They would rather just wear something light and pretty on the lips with the lip liner. And I'm excited to see it because I love the liquid balms. I think those have been my favorite. I tend to go through those a lot faster than like an actual like chapstick. Another trend that I'm seeing with brands that I think is going to carry us not just in 2023, but I think this is just now how it's always going to be. But I think makeup has now become merch for franchises. And I saw a lot of different brands outside of Colourpop doing a lot of collaboration efforts with a lot of different franchises. And not just older franchises, like we saw Glamlight do Strawberry Shortcake and Scooby-Doo, which, you know, have like a long legacy of fandom, of success. But we also saw Nyqvist do a collaboration effort with the Avatar movie. The new Avatar movie, not the old one. And there's like a Netflix series that I think also had like a big collaboration effort with Makeup Revolution. Like, look, I know drugstore brands like Makeup Revolution, Colourpop, and NYX, they kind of do those collaborative efforts, but I think they made so much profit off of those collaborations, and so many people were so excited about those products that we started to see brands like even Urban Decay. They did a Marvel collab. Now, it's not out of character for Urban Decay to do a collab effort. They did do one with Game of Thrones. If you remember way back, they did one with like one of the Pirates movies. That was like a really big one. But they just did one with the Avengers. And even Colourpop, they've been kind of, not just with the Disney collabs, but they've been kind of reaching out into other franchises. Like they had the Animal Crossing collaboration effort. They also had the Sailor Moon collection. So for those of you who are like me and you really enjoy anime, I wouldn't be surprised, especially with Netflix originals and things like that. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we just start seeing more collaborative efforts. But that's not to say that like the older series won't also get some love. I think we're still going to be seeing that. Like, I don't think this is the end of, you know, Star Wars episodes 4, 5, well, do we eat? Yeah, 4, 5, and 6. Because I was going to say, we don't really see things for 1, 2, and 3, but I would love to see that. If they release a Phantom Menace collection, I don't even care if it's Pat McGrath. I don't even care if it's just Phantom Menace stickers on a palette that's already existing in her collection. She can resell me this blush palette, but put Darth Maul on it, or Queen Amidala, or Padme, or both, or all three. Put Watto on it. Put Jar Jar. I don't care. That's the only Star Wars merchandise that I want right now, is episodes 1 through 3. That's it. That's all I want. I don't know. Gosh, we could even see like a Dragon Ball Z one. That would be really cool. Colourpop, if you did a collaboration for Sailor Moon, we're the Dragon Ball Z ones. I'm like not even big on Dragon Ball Z. My favorite shonen is Naruto, but I'll get a palette with Goku and Vegeta on it. I don't care. Can they do like a monochromatic green palette, but it's like for Brawly? Colourpop, call me, I have ideas. But I don't know. I think that's just where makeup is now, and I'm not mad at it because there have been franchises where I've been like, oh wow, I really want this. But I think it's going to be more, unfortunately, more of a money grab, where I think there's going to be some brands, you know, that really put the thought and effort into it. But like with the Pat McGrath Star Wars collection that was just released, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot more just here's a sticker on a product and we're gonna sell it at a higher price kind of thing. Unfortunately, I think that's the route that we're gonna go down. Another trend that I think is going to take off is the graphic liner, but not in the way that the graphic liner is right now, where people are doing like more artistic graphic liner. I think in just like the everyday, like I'm going to work kind of makeup routine. I think we're gonna see, like, I've been seeing it already on Instagram, but like I said, I work in a school district, so when things kind of trickle amongst the normies, that's how I know that something is really popular. Once the normies start, because they're like the last line of defense. They're kind of the last to kind of get to these trends. So if a trend is big enough and has made it all the way through and reaches them, it's pretty big. But what I have been seeing is, I'll insert some pictures here, but it's more of like placement of color and kind of accentuates the eye look, kind of like how you would get like a detail on your nails. And I think that's like translating to the eye. We've been seeing a lot of different colored liners being released, but not just in like the pencil format. I've been seeing a lot of different liquid liners being released, and that's anywhere from drugstore to high end. And although I feel like more drugstore brands had a more range of like the rainbow, if you will, and high end were kind of sticking to like the true like blues and reds and things like that, you know. I think we're starting to see a lot more variation. Like some brands definitely came out with like a pink liquid liner and things like that. So I think that's gonna take off. Like I think we're just gonna see that a lot more with just, you know, day-to-day makeup. So instead of doing like a black or this isn't even black, if doing a brown liner like this, I think we're gonna see like more color. And I think with the liners that are with like the traditional like black brown kind of category, I don't know if it's gonna be as defined as this. I think it's gonna be more of like the like doe-eyed, big-eyed, like using the shade to kind of more widen the eye shape, make your eyes look bigger and softer, and it's going to be more of like the color on your face that stands out versus the sharp angles and sharp lines that you draw. I hope that's making sense. I think this is a beautiful look, but I think in 2023 this look is going to look more like, I don't know, maybe like a lilac liner or like a pink liner, if there is even a colored liner like this, and if it's not in this like same kind of like cat eye way, it's going to be more like downturned and soft. I think is the trend we're going to go with. Another trend as far as like makeup aesthetic is, I saw this a lot with again, when it reaches my coworkers, I know it's a trend. But I had one of my coworkers tell me, oh, are you doing that like cold girl makeup look? And I had to pause because I wasn't quite really wearing makeup, but then I realized that my nose in cold weather turns bright red. Doesn't matter if I color correct, it doesn't matter what I do. It'll shine through. I could put another blush on top of it, but it's gonna shine through. What I do in the wintertime is I do add blush to my nose, so even when I'm not ice cold freezing, my nose is still a little bit red, so no one has to make a comment on it, you know, like nothing has changed. But all of this to say, I think the aesthetic, insert aesthetic here, girl look, I think those are gonna be the makeup trends that we still see. I've noticed this a lot with beauty content. Short form beauty content is kind of going through a renaissance era, or I shouldn't say a Renaissance era. Like it's going through the early YouTube era where everything was a tutorial, how to do the, you know, like the Jacqueline eye, how to do a smoky eye kind of thing. A lot of those kind of videos, short form content is taking off. And so I think we're going to see a lot more of like, I don't know, we're going to see a lot more aesthetic tutorials, but it's, I don't know how to phrase this. It's going to be like the insert noun adjective here, girl look. And that could be anything from like goth girl look, cyberpunk girl look, I don't know, hasn't slept in 5 days look, walked off the set of Skins look, if that hasn't already been one. I think that's just going to be a trend that we're going to see a lot more of, because I think that's just an easy way to kind of advertise the kind of tutorial you're doing, and it's easy to remember. So like when it's cold outside and you're like, oh, it's cold, so like let me do the cold girl look, like that's how I'm gonna do my makeup today. Or I don't know, like it might be summertime, so you might do like the girl on vacation look. I don't know, I don't think we're gonna see an end to that. I think that's gonna kind of stick around, but I'm not mad at it. Like it's just kind of easy to kind of say what you're doing, and it kind of makes sense. And I mean, if we're being honest, we all talk to our girlfriends and, you know, our friends in our personal lives in that same way. Like, oh, well, maybe this is just like a cosplay thing, but like I would say like, oh, I'm going for like an Angelica look. I say that, but I laugh. That's because sometimes I like take my lower lash lines a little bit further, and Angelica has those lines, but that's neither here nor there. And the last trend that I kind of have for 2023 is I think we're gonna also see a lot more mainstream brands kind of mimic what's been going on in the indie world for the past few years. I feel like a lot more people got into indie brands during the pandemic, and that could be because a lot more people spent time online, so they had more access to content creators like Angie, who mostly use indie brand makeup, or, you know, like they had a girlfriend or a friend, you know, that has been using indie makeup, or there's just been particular trends that have already popped off online, especially with like how TikTok's been selling items and things been trending, and how Instagram also tries to mimic that, and brands can pay to have their ads kind of pop up. I think that's why we've also been seeing a lot of different Asian beauty brands kind of pop up and catch a lot of our attention, because they've been paying the money to have like their product advertised. Nothing wrong with that. That's just how businesses work. But I think like it's not just going to be with multi-chromes and duochromes and things like that in a palette. I think it's also going to be similar color stories. But I think that mainstream brands are going to take really popular indie brand color stories and somehow repackage that concept. Again, I guess that can kind of tie into the copycat, but I just think that they're going to make their own mainstream version of it. I just think that the mainstream is going to take what the indie brands are doing and put it out there. And the more that I talk about this, the more that it's just kind of like a reiteration of like the duping. But I don't necessarily think it's duping, because like it's a lot of the time indie brands can be more affordable. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit longer to get your hands on a product, but they're affordable. And the way that like Blended Bunny Cosmetics and Odin's Eye have kind of taken the internet by storm. I've seen it on YouTube, I've seen it on TikTok, and I've seen it on Instagram as well. And so when it hits all three, I know that it's a really popular item. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a brand like Urban Decay or maybe Too Faced, or a brand that's kind of struggling, you know, and trying to catch up with the times, take those trending indie brand color stories and try to recreate them. But that being said, I also saw that a lot of people were on a no buy, low buy. So on that note, let's transition into what my predictions were for the previous year. So my first one was that we weren't going to actually have thin eyebrows. It was going to be more groomed, put together eyebrows. And I think I was correct with that one, where we saw a lot of like soap brows and things like that, and just like you know, let your natural brows like have their moment. We saw a lot of that during the pandemic, but then kind of coming back into normal life, I think we all started grooming our eyebrows again. And with the early 2000s kind of era being the throwback era of a fashion choice right now, I think that instead of going really thin brows, again, we're just going very groomed brows. I also said in my 2022 trend video that we saw a lot of straight brows, which was true. I just think that now we're using more of our face to kind of in my 2022 video, I also mentioned that we saw a lot of straight brows, and I think that's because we're kind of more so using our eyebrows to shape our face. So something that really complements our face. Not every face shape is the same, so you can't just contour your face in every way, and I think that your eyebrows contour your face in a way. I don't think I look bad with the eyebrows that I have. I don't really groom my eyebrows. Sometimes I try to pluck and like shape and arch, but I'm not very good at it, and I would rather not fuss with it. So I don't think that there's anything bad with having the big bushy eyebrows still, but it's more like commit to what you have. So if you have the big bushy brow, lean into it, enjoy it, really like advertise that to the world. But you don't have to like build your brow, if you will, to give yourself like the big Chewbacca eyebrow. I think that's kind of done. I think it's more of just like what eyebrow is the most groomed to your face. And I think that's still a trend that we're gonna still see in 2023. If not kind of more accessorized. Like I said in the 2022 video, bleached brows were really popular, and I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if we just started seeing people kind of also like dye their eyebrows different colors. Possibly. I'm not into, I don't know too much about like, I'm not gonna go into like hair fashion in this video, but like I think the Tumblr era of hair, I think it's coming back. I think it's swinging around where we're all kind of ready to bleach our hair and do something crazy with it. Just saying. Another trend that I said was gonna take off in 2022 was blue eyeshadow. That a lot of palettes were going to have a blue eyeshadow in there in some capacity, and I think I was right on that one as well. We had the pastel palette that had like, you know, those cloud blues. I'm also thinking of like the In the Palms palette from Colourpop. Even the new Aura Struck palette had a lot of blues in there. So I think blue was kind of like, I think periwinkle was supposed to be like the color of the year, but I really think blue eyeshadow, like, or blue was the color of the year because that was like the color a lot of people were leaning to as far as like eye look wise. It's very hard for me to think of a palette that didn't have a blue tone in it, that wasn't necessarily like a monochromatic or like the palette that's screaming to me right now is the Ace Beauté in the Tropics palette. That doesn't have a blue in there, but that is supposed to be a tropic, like a green palette. But when you think of like the Nomad palette, I think they even had blues in their Two Tickets to Paradise palette. So I think blue was really on trend. I think that color really took off. Another thing that I noticed and said in my previous video was I think that makeup collections were either going to expand or shrink depending on the person. And again, I think I was accurate with that as well. I saw a lot of declutters this year, and I know that declutters are like a trending kind of video topic for this time of year, but I was seeing declutters throughout the year. This was like, I feel like every month there was at least a new declutter video being posted, whether it was from someone who was really big in YouTube or they were mid-tier, or even if they were like small time like myself. And I think that's gonna stay true but with a catch. I think a lot more people are about quantity over quality, or excuse me, about quality over quantity right now, especially with like recession and you know, big scary economic words kind of looming over our heads. I think that people aren't as willing. I've said this before. I don't think beauty is gonna like lose any money. I think people are still gonna be buying products, but I think we're all gonna be a little bit smarter with how we spend our money. So instead of buying like the new Natasha Denona palette because like Natasha Denona is trendy, I think the people who love and trust Natasha Denona are gonna buy those palettes. I think the person that's like, you know what, I haven't liked Natasha Denona, that's not for me, they're gonna go elsewhere and buy something different, or just not even buy a palette at all and buy all the new lip balms that are going to be coming out. Like, I just think that's how that's going to work. Another brand that I said was going to be taking off was like Intense Bronzer, and I think I said this because I saw a lot of brands releasing bronzers, and then I think at the beginning of this year every brand had a new cream bronzer, but I don't think I was right, but I don't think I was wrong. I think what I saw instead was actually like the rise of contour. So I guess we could also add this to my prediction list, but I think contour is gonna be coming back, but not in the same way. Same how when like bronzing really like in 2012, bronzers made a comeback in a way that like hit us hard. Everyone, like, it was almost as if they were using bronzer as like a setting powder, like everyone's face was covered in bronzer. And I think in 2016 we were kind of treating contour in that same way, and now we all know how to kind of like lightly dust a bronze onto our face, and I think contour has finally caught up to that. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of brands were releasing contour products in the beginning of the year in the same way that they were releasing cream bronzers at the beginning of 2022. I think that's going to be coming back. I think people like having those complexion products, especially now that we're coming back from normal from like the pandemic era. I say that as if COVID has like disappeared off the face of the earth. It hasn't. I think we're all getting back into the rhythm of doing a full face of makeup. That also being said, I guess, oh God, one more prediction. I don't think we're going to be doing full like cake face of makeup. I think we're going to be using more like, I don't know, medium build at like the highest, because I think a lot of us have been introduced into skincare, kind of found a skincare routine for us, and now a lot of our skin, we all have really good looking skin, better looking skin than we've ever had before, and I think we want to let that shine through our makeup. So I think the medium coverage kind of product, I think that's making a comeback because we want to do more like full face makeup, but we also don't want to cover up all the hard work that we've been doing and potentially like harm our skin in a way. So I think that's where it is, and I wouldn't be surprised if, again, we saw more brands release skincare in their makeup products, anything from a concealer to a foundation to a lip product to a primer to a mascara. I think all of it's just going to have skincare advertised on it, but I think that's just also a trend that we're going to be seeing into the near future. But let me know in the comments down below, what are some of your predictions, and what were some of your predictions from last year? Did you guess any of them correctly? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. And if you liked hanging out with me today and you would like to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I don't want you guys to miss out. I do have a lot of big plans for 2023 personally, as far as my channel's concerned, and I don't know, join me on that ride now so you can be one of the people that were like, oh, I was there when that started. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
There's no